Hello, my name's Steven Sheil and I'm the writer and director of Mum and Dad.
And I'm Lisa Tronovsky and I'm the producer of Mum and Dad.
First, I suppose there's a bit of background about the film really. It was made through the Film London Microwave Scheme, which was a new micro-budget scheme set up by Film London to make films for basically £100,000 or less, which is a stupid amount of money. Yeah, yeah, euphemistically called a challenge, but yeah, it's actually quite a stupid amount of money to try and make a feature film on.
But we were stupid enough to do it.
We were stupid enough to do it. But essentially, it was written quite quickly for the scheme. I got told about the scheme and then wrote the initial outline, which is about 17 pages, in about 4 weeks. Submitted it, got through to the next round, and then had about another 4 weeks to write the script. By that time, Lisa was on board, and we ended up pitching the film to a panel at Film London. And then...
Yeah, and then they gave us the half of the money. And then we went and I had to go out and find the other half of the money, which we got from EM Media, which is a regional screen agency, because Stephen's based in Nottingham.
And most of the stuff you'll see in the film is shot in Nottingham. All of this stuff here is actually shot at what used to be Carlton Studios in Nottingham, which is now owned by, I think, the University of Nottingham.
Yeah.
And this shot, I think, is pretty much the last shot that we filmed in Nottingham. And it was a total rush to get, because it was getting near dawn and the light was coming up. And
everybody was in a panic.
Everybody was in a panic because we had a really long corridor, and Olga, who plays Lena, was right down the other end of it, and we were trying desperately to get her to come to this end of it so we could film it, and the walkie-talkies wouldn't work at all. So
and the camera was jamming.
The camera was jamming. Everybody was getting very fraught. It was near dawn, and yeah, it's quite a kind of rushed end to the shoot. This shot here, funnily enough, this title shot here for the Mum and Dad thing was when I look back
random.
Well, no, it wasn't, because when I look back on my notes for the film, when I initially came up with the idea for the film, I did a little drawing of exactly that, of those two signs with the Mum and Dad thing on there.
Yeah, but it was random that we found that location.
It was random.
We looked about 25 toilets, hadn't we? And then suddenly we saw this and...
Dirty bastards.
Ah, there we are.
Yeah, the horrible toilet. Initially, this wasn't the first, how we kind of came into this scene. Initially, there was a bit of a kind of longer preamble, but in the edit, we ended up cutting out quite a lot from this opening sequence, this opening bit set at the airport, and we ended up just coming in later and later and later on this scene, and so we ended up with the disgusting toilet being kind of the opening,
the opening shot of the film.
Which in a way is quite fitting. I always think it's quite good to kind of get a kind of a texture in there. I don't mean
literally
a texture, but I just mean in terms of like
feel for the film.
Yeah, to get the kind of revulsion and disgust kind of nerves kind of jangling quite early on. So that was the reason why we came in on that. But yeah, all of this stuff at the supposedly in the airport was filmed really late on. It was probably the last stuff that we shot in Nottingham.
Yeah, although in a way this was quite a relief, although it was 2 night shoots at the end of quite an arduous shooting schedule. We were quite pleased because we finally got some space. We'd been cooped up in small houses, and finally we had this whole massive building to ourselves at night, so we were all very, very excited.
Yeah, there was a bit of a kind of half-term feel to it.
There was, yeah.
And also for Olga, I think it was really good because
she actually got to say something.
She actually got some dialogue and got to kind of interact properly with Ainsley, who plays Birdie, and kind of talk. And I think it was a bit of a release for her after spending like 2.5 weeks of not having that opportunity really.
Looks old. Where'd you get it?
My grandma.
She got any more?
She's dead.
It's interesting with Birdie. I tried to put kind of little kind of clues in the start that Birdie was there was something kind of a bit off with her, like that little kind of comment about has she got any more in terms of the
grandmothers.
Yeah, in terms of the grandmother's compact and also stuff that she tells like really kind of ridiculous over the top stories, which she does in a minute. I quite like having this. We found this kind of backdrop, which was in the corridor at the University of Nottingham. This kind of wooded kind of backdrop. I like that idea because in my head, I suppose I had this kind of idea about kind of kids getting lost in the forest, that old kind of like fairy tale, and it seemed to kind of be quite a nice little kind of reference for that.
Yeah, we were very lucky actually with the locations, that lots of the things that we just sort of found were good overall, because obviously working on a tiny budget meant that our art department was very, very, very stretched. So anything that we found like this that they didn't actually have to do was a real bonus, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean that the budget thing was always an issue. I remember in this scene initially they were supposed to be getting sandwiches from a sandwich machine.
The vending machine, that's right, the broken vending machine.
And we couldn't actually afford a vending machine.
So we had a trolley.
Which is why it ended up being a trolley with sandwiches on, which I don't think you face normally on kind of, on bigger budget things.
Yeah.
That's all you can do around here. Do you want a drink?
Yeah. Coffee, please.
Again, this was another scene where we kind of cut into quite a bit, because originally there was more kind of talk about Lena's background and kind of her relationship with her family, and in the end we just kind of really, really pared it down, I guess, which I think works better. I think the more kind of brutal we were, the better it worked, really. Yeah,
in fact this opening section in the airport is the one that I think we cut the most out of, really, didn't we? Because I think originally it was probably about 20 or so pages, wasn't it? And
yeah, and there was a lot more. There were a couple more kind of little scenes, and there was a little kind of a little more background on Lena. I remember the execs always asking for a close up of Elby sort of earlier on in that scene, and we just didn't have it, just because the speed we were working, we had to kind of just get what we could and move on, and the schedule was just like this kind of relentless sort of juggernaut, so that sometimes you just had to kind of think, well, we've got it covered, we've pretty much got it covered, we could really do with another couple of shots, but there just wasn't the time to do it.
Yeah, well, made the last bit up. The rest of it's true.
But in a way it makes it kind of slightly easier in the edit if somebody says,
try this,
I'd really like it if you could
that?
try that, and you could say, well, can't, this doesn't exist.
Don't have it, yeah.
Just borrowing.
Again, all this stuff isn't shot anywhere near the airport, but we tried to get it so you get these kind of little lights outside, and obviously we've kind of put a lot of planes on the soundtrack. I grew up next to Heathrow Airport, probably about a mile away from it, so that sound that you hear throughout the film of planes going overhead is like the sound of my childhood. It's really kind of evocative for me, because I grew up listening to that for pretty much 18 years.
Yeah, and this is what happens, isn't it?
This is what happens, to everybody who grows up next to an airport. They just turn into psychopaths. Psychopaths and perverts.
So what happened?
I used to have behavioural problems. I'm better now.
Again, there's a few kind of little kind of hints in there. This bit again was something that kind of wasn't scripted. It was just kind of a few shots that we picked up, and then because we had the tracks in that day, we only had a couple of days where we had John Ross, who did the tracking shots and his tracks in, and this was just one that we picked up because I kind of wanted to have a little more of Elby in the film, and I quite like this kind of little kind of haunting look that he does in there, just to kind of keep him in there as a presence, because at this point,
nice one.
Because it's a horror film, you're going into it as a horror film, you know that something's going to go wrong, and it was just trying to keep it, I suppose, a bit ambiguous about where the kind of horror was going to come from.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw an edit put together, I was thinking, that the horror might be here. Actually, I think you really get into that feeling because it's nighttime and there's these haunting looks, and you think, oh, what's going to happen now?
This scene is so bare bones. I think we pretty much had 3 shots.
Yeah, and we had camera problems on this one, didn't we? When the camera kept jamming and stopping, and we really thought, oh my goodness. It
was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and the battery on the camera went, and we could only ever have the camera on for 5 minutes at a time. So there were another couple of shots we meant to have in that scene that we just couldn't get because the camera just stopped working. We
did try and pick them up the next night, but then again.
Yeah, but that was just a ridiculously optimistic idea.
I have to say, I bailed out on this one, didn't I? Because while we were shooting this film, I was 7.5 months pregnant. So I didn't quite make it all through both nights.
Yeah, you were a bit of a lightweight.
I was,
But it was absolutely freezing. And,
it was so cold.
It was so
here
cold.
I am. I'm driving the minibus here, everyone.
Yeah.
It's my moment of fame.
At least it's
I was trying to get a close-up on there because I thought the minibus driver was a very important role. But
absolutely. A key role.
Absolutely.
But again, absolutely freezing, and this was right at the end of the shoot. Everybody was tired. We didn't have enough lights. It took ages to light anything. It's because it was outside. We didn't have big enough lights. It was quite slow going.
Because we did have. I think we had like 1 or two big lights, but then you can only ever have them in one place, and then moving them, and
it's just the way the kind of budget kind of impacts on everything. Really, it's not just that you haven't got that many lights, you haven't got enough bodies to actually move the lights, and so people have to kind of go off and set up for other scenes, and it's just it just made it hard work.
We'll help you out, won't we, Elby? Don't worry.
Off they go.
Now this
cut to Heathrow Airport.
Yeah, this is actually shot just outside Heathrow Airport in pretty much in a field that's owned by a farmer in Bedfont, near where I grew up.
And this was the very, very last day of the shoot, or night. This was the last shot,
That was the
wasn't
last
it?
shot, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is slate number 445, if I remember well.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, we had bets on how many slates we would have.
Yeah, I think Ainsley won, didn't she? Yeah.
No, I think it was one of the runners, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It was Ainsley, because I fixed it so that Ainsley won.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
So all this stuff was kind of shot around this field, which was really weird because it's kind of...
Again, this isn't dressed either, isn't it? We just found it like this, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The field with the wild horses.
Yeah, there were a load of wild horses living in this field.
And I asked the farmer whether we could possibly move them, and he said, oh no, some of them haven't ever been handled. So we ended up in the field with the horses. They were very friendly, though.
They were. What I really liked about this field is the fact that we that they had these kind of yellow kind of pylons in there.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
And this.
Oh, and this cut to Nottingham.
Now we're back in Nottingham. The other side of the fence was London. Now this is back in Nottingham. We had to move that whole bit of fence down to London just to sell that one shot.
And here they are.
And here they are, into the house. The house that's in the film was actually probably made up, I think, of five different locations. So
that's
we had this garden and this kitchen was one location.
And this was the first day of shooting, wasn't it, or the second?
I think it was second day of shooting because we did all the kitchen stuff first.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and then Elby goes to a tiny toilet, actually.
Tiny toilet, which is actually going downstairs.
And this was
to
an
the cellar.
empty house which was for rent, and we rented it for the month because we didn't use any proper sort of film locations. We just used things, houses for rent and places that were on the market for sale, and so we came in here, and this was really manky, this place. I remember having to clean it all, and
those photos on the fridge are supposed to kind of give you some kind of clue as to when kind of Birdie and Elby first came into the house. Really, is that idea. These kind of I talked to Jess Alexander, the production designer, about having things
details.
Details, like having kind of things wrapped in cling film and having things kind of in jars, and this porcelain pig, which was a weird kind of semi-homage kind of reference to the 80s sitcom Bread.
Oh, this is another location, new house now,
seamlessly
hallway.
Into a new house. We shot this originally was supposed to be about 2 scenes, and then we ended up doing it in 2 shots because we didn't have any time.
Yeah. Oh, and there's your first glimpse of Dad.
And there's the injection, which I actually carried out because originally it was supposed to be Simon Crazy, effects designer, but I thought he was doing it in far too gentle a way, so I ended up actually doing the much more brutal stabbing in the neck with a syringe.
In that syringe is extract of mother-in-law's tongue, isn't it?
Mother-in-law's tongue, which originally was in the script. Somebody asked me about it recently at a festival, exactly what was in it and exactly how long it would take to knock somebody out and how often you'd have to administer it for. I don't know why you wanted that information, but now originally this bit where Lena wakes up was a longer bit, and originally she kind of got out of the bed and looked around the room and tried to escape and ended up back at the bed again, but it just didn't work for some reason. We just kind of, I don't know what it was, you couldn't ever make it work, so we just cut it back again.
This was one of the hardest locations.
It was one of the hardest locations, yeah.
Stephen wrote interconnecting rooms
like
and doors.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you don't find that a lot.
I really like this shot. It's supposed to be kind of like that old kind of weather house kind of shot where when Dad comes out, Mum comes in, when Mum comes out, Dad goes in, that kind of idea, weirdly, in my head. But yeah, I wrote a connecting door into the script like a total idiot, not kind of thinking that there's no actual house that exists like that, so we ended up having to build.
And that we weren't actually going to be building in a studio.
And we weren't going to be building a studio, and we couldn't rent a location and then knock a hole in the wall, so we ended up having to get the.
But we had, again, I think you and Jess Alexander, the production designer, had a long conversation about the logistics of the door and which door led to where.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because obviously there's going to be more goings in and out of the doors. and Pat Minihan, our fantastic construction manager, managed to put this together.
Yeah, so essentially I think Perry's walking into a very, very shallow space there, but
Yeah.
I think we managed to sell it okay, so that it looks as though the two rooms are connected.
See? We just have to keep our heads.
Yeah, all this stuff in this room I think was quite hard going because it was quite a small room, and we had a lot of people in there, and we had
We did have a few lights as well, and the windows didn't open,
the windows
so it was
didn't
very
open.
stuffy.
We had a smoke machine. It kind of stank horribly.
Yeah, and we spent sort of almost, I think, 3 days in that room, didn't we?
Yeah, it felt quite torturous actually filming all of this stuff.
That's all.
But the actors
Adds
were
to
great.
the atmosphere.
Yeah, no, and the actors were great. I think they really kind of sell it.
Just like I have. Don't try and talk. You just had a little jab, that's all. You don't want to be screaming.
I mean, this kind of setup, I always kind of... It's quite weird with Mum, I guess, that she needs this kind of emotional connection with the kids that come into the house. She likes to kind of try and build up this kind of relationship.
Yes, she's mothering them, isn't
Yeah,
she?
she's mothering them in a really kind of perverse way.
You know, something to make you sleep.
Again, that's my hand doing that kind of horrible, brutal injection.
Mum will take
Yeah, we saved all the sort of close-up shots, didn't we, and did them all as one section.
Yeah, because we could only afford that lens for like one day.
That's right, yeah. Our camera gear came up from London and we sort of had to have...
Yeah, we had to do a lot of planning on everything. Everything was just, had to be...
It was a logistical
It was this weird
nightmare.
mixture between planning everything and then improvising around that plan just all the time. We were working at such a speed. We had to I think we were doing like 27 setups a day or something. Some days we had like 8 pages. I think one day in this room we had something like 8 pages we were supposed to shoot, which I don't think we ever kind of managed. But now this scene's quite hard. I remember for Olga, this is quite early on in the shoot, and she wasn't feeling very well anyway, and to spend the whole day kind of
In chains.
with your arms kind of held up in that position was quite difficult for her.
I think as well, emotionally it's a very difficult scene for Mum as well, because
Yeah.
Dido was actually a really nice person.
Yeah.
She's not really like this. So it's quite a challenge for the actors
Yeah.
to take on these kind of roles, and I think especially, Mum and Dad are the hardest, aren't they? Because
Because you've got to kind of, I don't know, because for the actors they've got to, I suppose, try and kind of humanise them in a way, or try and kind of get into that psychology of why they're doing what they're doing.
and not because we wanted to keep this very real, didn't we?
Yeah.
In that we didn't want these people to become they are monsters, obviously,
Yeah.
but not over the top.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to believe in the performances.
Yeah, this effect took quite a lot of setting up, and then I think we only ever got to do it twice, so we're lucky that we got it. But again, it was just one of those things of, not enough budget, not enough time. We just kind of got to,
But it makes people be very inventive, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, I think
absolutely.
this is incredibly effective.
Yeah.
I remember when we had the first cast and crew screening of this, there was a lot of averted eyes, and those were people who were on set.
I know.
They couldn't believe how well it had worked.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I kind of, when I was writing the script, I had to kind of think about what would cost money, and I talked to Simon Craze, our effects designer, about stuff and what would be expensive to do and how we could do it and what would be cheap to do. So a lot of the effects are kind of designed with that in mind.
Yeah, because I was very worried when I first read the script, because I haven't really done effects before like this, so I was concerned that these things would all be very difficult. But Stephen had done a short film and had done your own effects before, hadn't you?
Yeah.
You and Simon, knew the ways to make
Yeah.
effects simple and effective.
This is the scene in the film that freaks my girlfriend out the most. She really doesn't like this kind of LB masturbating kind of scene. I don't know why.
Did
I tell you to stop?
I think this is the bit that people don't like, really.
Finish it.
This is probably the first moment in the film that you get a bit of nervous laughter, really, because of Dad's kind of reaction to it.
An angel. That's what you are.
It's meant to be, I mean, this kind of whole opening section with Mum torturing Lena and then going into Dad's room was really supposed to set up how brutal and perverse Mum and Dad really are. Just to really kind of make you aware of the kind of monsters they are, really.
Yeah, and I know, we
And
had wanted to set it up that you knew how far things would go.
Yeah. But again, this is probably the first scene where you get this... the idea with the film was to try and get the horror bleeding into the domesticity and the domesticity bleeding into the horror, and this is kind of the first scene where you really get that, with the biscuits coming in and the cup of tea, and this little kind of exchange between Mum and Birdie.
Yes, it's one of my favourite lines when she says about the biscuits. I really like it. This whole thing about chores, my goodness, she's a taskmaster.
Yeah, they're actually quite kind of strict parents, Mum and Dad. Take their responsibility seriously.
Absolutely, bringing their children up to being very respectful.
Yeah, well, at least of their parents.
Mm.
Are you Mummy's little girl?
By this time, obviously, Lane has now been called Angel, and I wanted to have this thing in the script where nobody actually had a real name. And once you're in that house, you don't actually have a real name. So you've got Mum, Dad, Birdie, LB, which nobody ever gets this, I don't know why, but LB is supposed to be L, the letters LB, like little brother. And then Lena becomes Angel. This scene is obviously horrible.
Yeah.
And I suppose I kind of wanted a moment...
Most controversial.
Yeah,
I'd
most
say.
controversial. I wanted a kind of moment in the script that, and in the film where people would go, oh my God, you see that bit where... And this obviously is that kind of bit, but...
This is the bit where people sometimes have walked out.
Yeah, well, it's the bit where when we filmed this shot,
there was a collective groan.
Everybody groaned, including me, because it was just horrible. And of course we cut back to it just to make it even more horrible. But the kind of idea was that again, it's almost like, I had a chat with the actors about this and said almost like Mum and Dad's approach to kind of the violence is the kind of stereotypical idea of like men and women's approach to sex. Like Mum needs kind of emotional connection. Dad just sees like a piece of flesh,
This was an audition piece, wasn't it, this speech, when we put dads through their paces?
It was, yeah, because this is Dad's kind of... again, another kind of influence on the script was this idea about there's no such thing as society, the famous kind of Thatcher quote of the 80s. There's no such thing as society, there are only individuals and families. So when Dad goes on about, you can forget what's outside that window, essentially what he's saying is like, this is your society now, this is it.
This is your world.
This is your world, yeah. And I just, the quote kind of started me thinking about what would happen if somebody really took that at kind of face value and said, right, I'm just going to create my own society, my own kind of laws, my own kind of morals in this house, and that's it. And what would happen if that person was an extreme pervert like Dad is?
You get your meals, you get all your clothes.
Some great kind of both production design and lighting in here. Jonathan Bloom, our DOP, did a great job. I really like this kind of really harsh central light that's kind of coming down on Dad and Lena. There's something really kind of horrible about it.
Yeah, I think the two rooms there, Mum's room that we've just seen and this Dad's room, are the most really interesting rooms in terms of lighting and production design. I think the sparseness of Mum's room and then the busyness of Dad's room.
Yeah.
Dad's room was always supposed to be sort of like Dad's shed.
Yeah.
This is his Dad's space where he goes to, and whereas normal dads would go to the end of the garden and have a cigarette and read a magazine. Yeah. Our Dad goes and chops people up.
Yeah. And Perry's great in this. I mean, he's, because Perry's not like the biggest bloke in the world, but I wanted him to have this real kind of horrible physical presence in this scene, which he really, really pulls off.
It's great. I think this has been it's really great to see Perry in this kind of thing where he always says, "Oh, I'm always the fat, funny one."
Yeah.
And he's
really
always
quite put upon in the other roles he's been in. He's always like quite put upon comedy character, and even though he has his kind of blackly funny moments in this, he is quite kind of brutal and horrible. Now we're back in Lena's room, and again this was I think Dido said that this is quite weird, this kind of weirdly kind of lesbian undertone to all of this. I think she found quite strange. Not because of the lesbianism, but because it's kind of this kind of mixing of kind of it's like this kind of sexualization of violence, which obviously kind of is quite a kind of key thing in horror films. Happens quite a lot.
Yeah, but a lot of it happens because you have a male protagonist.
Yeah.
So I think this is an interesting take on the female perspective. We always laughed in this. Our poor DOP, I was told him he could have 3 lights. and he did very well in his 3 lights. Here's one of them.
Yeah, there's one in the corner there.
One with the starring role. Again, we tried to work in things that were like real, because we wanted this to be very practical environments. We didn't want to light it as if it were sort of total film lighting.
Yeah.
So it was nice to bring in real elements.
I think this is a good scene for Olga, because this is one shot where we stay on her for over a minute, I think, and
it's the longest shot in the film.
It's the longest shot in the film, yeah, and we kind of stay with it because I think this is a kind of key moment, really. I mean, one of the decisions about taking away Elena's voice in the film was down to the idea that I didn't want a woman screaming all the way through the film. I thought it'd be, I know it's weird, it sounds almost like paradoxical, but I know it's a kind of key thing in horror films to have kind of people screaming, but I thought that for a character, actually it's going to be horrible just to see her screaming all the time. And in a way, I thought that if you take her voice away and she hasn't got that to use, then perversely it kind of makes her have to resort to other things and have to kind of find other things inside her. And this whole kind of moment here was about her kind of deciding that no, she's actually going to get out of here, however long it takes, she's going to get out of here. So she starts at this moment fighting. Yeah,
I love this because there she is, she's bruised, she's battered, she's been cut, but she just will not give in. I mean, it's a real strength of character.
Yeah, I
don't know how I would feel about that. I think it'd be really hard to just say no, I will not die.
Yeah.
And I think
it's to kind of give you the idea why she actually kind of escapes in the end, really. Why, is that she's decided, she set her mind. Yeah,
from the very beginning, from the outset, she will not. She won't give in.
Yeah. Now this is Birdie back to being a horrible.
She's evil.
She's horrible. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. I think these effects are brilliant. I think that our Vicky Lawson, who was our makeup and hair designer and did all the special effects makeup as well, has just done a brilliant job.
Especially seeing as she only came onto the shoot really late, didn't she?
Yeah, God, we unfortunately the girl who was supposed to be doing it ended up being very ill, and Vicky, I literally called the day before. It was a panic, and it was Easter Monday, and I phoned her and said at about 10 o'clock in the morning, and said I don't know what you're doing, but we start shooting tomorrow. And we'd interviewed her, and we'd gone with somebody else. And I said, Vicky, please, are you free? Can you come to Nottingham today and start
It was
tomorrow?
actually lucky, because we'd interviewed people and we really liked Vicky anyway. So
yeah, no, it was great.
It was just only because the other person who was up for the job had more kind of horror film experience, really. But Vicky did a terrific job.
She was amazing.
Now this scene was the first day of shooting, and it was.
We'd never been in this location.
No,
we'd never been in it dressed. Our DP had never been. The cast, we never had all the cast together.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
Originally, that was a much more hardcore piece of pornography, which we replaced at the last minute, just out of
I get blamed for things like that.
No, probably to do with nerves about getting anything past the BBFC. But,
producer nerves.
But yeah, this was the first day, and it's quite. I mean, this kitchen wasn't massive, and it's quite a big scene to do, and there was loads of shots, and
everybody had just moved in. We didn't even all know each other.
No.
It was a great way to kick the shoot off.
It was
so very intense. Get all the characters. We decided that from the beginning, actually, didn't we?
Yeah.
We said, when we knew what the locations were, and we really wanted to get everybody.
We knew it was going to be hard, but we thought that if we could kick off with this and get this whole kind of big long scene, everybody in it, everybody gets to interact with each other.
There's talking.
It's it's kind of, for me as director, it's quite complicated, because it's everybody talking to everybody else. You've got to do so many shots around the room, and there's not a lot of room. Also, because this kitchen wasn't in the connected to the rest of the house, we had to kind of sort of fudge a bit where the door was. So, not where the door was, but we couldn't ever see the door because it wouldn't ever connect with the door that led to the other corridor. So that kind of cut down our options a bit.
Yeah, in a way, it was a make or break, wasn't it, really? You think if we get through this on day one, then we'll get through the next 18 days.
Yeah.
Or 17 days.
I know a couple of fellas at work would be interested in this for their kids.
But this was the first scene that we shot, and also the first scene that we cut, and in a way, it's quite a good scene to work with, because this is almost like the kind of inverse now, where you're getting the horror bleeding into the domestic, and we wanted to have this kind of real domestic space that almost looked like a kind of soap opera, kind of sitcom space. Because it always kind of annoyed me that in British horror films you never really saw these domestic spaces being used. You only ever saw, I mean, you used to in like the 60s and 70s, but for a period it always seemed like every British horror film was set in kind of some, I don't know, like an asylum or an abandoned hospital, or somebody who lived in a massive kind of open plan flat somewhere.
Show your citizen chores.
I remember Dido laughing about this because she said everyone would think she was crazy because there she was the first day of the shoot.
I know.
In her dressing gown, screaming at everybody.
I know. I think it's quite a leap of faith for all the actors because they didn't really know us and they'd not really done horror films before, and you're asking them to do some quite kind of grim stuff, and I think
they were very trusting, weren't they?
God bless them for doing it all.
It was funny. This a bubble wrap, wasn't it? Because was a nice corner cutting. Well, not corner cutting, but a way to make effects work. Because we knew that we couldn't have obviously real body parts, but
also I wanted to get the bubble wrap in there early because later on there's a scene where somebody gets killed by bubble wrap, and that was one of the things that I initially kind of thought of. I wanted to have that kind of popping of the bubbles when somebody dies. This stuff was shot in a real cellar, but we had to it was a massive cellar and we had to kind of close it off a bit.
Completely empty.
Again, we had this thing where we didn't see this location because of just timing and schedule. We couldn't get to see this location until just before we shot in it.
I think it was the day before we were shooting there. We went in the lunchtime, didn't we?
Yeah.
And Jess had half dressed it.
And it's great. It's a great location, but again, we ended up with this situation where the door doesn't actually match. We couldn't use the doorway, so we ended up having to shoot all these scenes in the cellar without ever really seeing the door, which again kind of cuts down your options a bit. But it's just the way, again, it's just kind of schedule and budget and and the location that we could get. Actually, I mean, we got this location for free because it's actually the cellar of
EM Media,
who are one of the co-financiers. So
that's great. Oh, I love all these scenes with Birdie. I have to say, her chatting on.
Yeah, I mean, Ainsley's great. I mean, this was.
She's a real natural, wasn't she?
It's one of her first roles, and she's got so much dialogue. She had probably like 3 times the amount of dialogue of anybody else to learn. So every day, it's like Elby could kind of Toby. Didn't have to learn lines. But I mean, he did loads of work because he said that he kind of put together a kind of interior monologue for every scene. But Birdie,
which was going to be this commentary.
Exactly. But Ainsley, actually had to go away and learn loads and loads of lines and kind of,
What do you think?
She did really, really well.
She did really well.
I think she really enjoyed working with Dido as well, and they shared a flat.
Yeah, they bonded. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Mum and daughter actually lived together during the shoot because all the actors, we put them up in some flats because normally actors would stay in hotels, etc. But
they got cheap student digs.
no, we did that.
Right, you got cheap student digs.
The crew got cheap student digs. The actors got nice city apartments.
Whereas I got to just stay at home.
Where Stephen got to stay at home, which was probably harder really because you've got a little daughter to wake you up early in the morning through the night.
Again, I remember we had to do all of this cellar stuff in about a day and a half. We originally had 2 days scheduled for it, but about 3 days into the shoot, Olga got ill, and we basically lost a day, didn't we? Out of an 18-day shoot, we lost a day. Which doesn't seem like a lot to anyone, but it's an enormous amount, especially because Olga was in everything, and we tried to reschedule things, and we just couldn't. So we literally just had to abandon the shoot for a day. Yeah, which was absolutely terrifying. Yeah, like 3 days into the shoot and just thinking, God, we've actually now got to pick up a day. Yeah, so between Stephen and I and our first AD Andrew McEwen, who was the Silver Fox, brilliant, and our DP Jonathan, we spent a lot of time every day trying to work out how we could reschedule things. Yeah. Also because we lost a location as well. Yeah. Now this scene's quite interesting because this scene is made up of wasn't in the script, and it's essentially made up of offcuts from other scenes. Like this bit was originally in the bit where she first wakes up in the room. This was some shots from there, but I wanted something in the edit. It just felt like we hadn't kind of seen this room we hadn't gone upstairs for a while, and everything seemed quite more kind of domestic, and I really wanted to kind of emphasize the fact that this horror is going on day by day by day, and that Lane is having to put up with this, and there's a kind of relentless thing, but also just again in a kind of texture thing. I really wanted to kind of get some more kind of horrible kind of. Well, I think it's this, isn't it? This whole thing of being watched, and Elby's packaging up some more body parts there, and I think it's interesting as well about music because this is the only piece. Oh no, we've got 2 or 3 pieces of music, but this in the regular kind of film, apart from Christmas, that's the only bit of music. Yeah, the only music bit that's in it. I've always wanted to use Shaking All Over in a film, and it just kind of seemed to fit in with kind of Dad's music taste, really. There's a scene, I guess, where you can see that Lane is starting to think about what she can do, how she can turn this around. She's seen how Birdie is with Mum, and she's thinking about what she can do to actually kind of disrupt that, and to kind of, that if she gets on Mum's good side, then there's going to be more freedom for her.
Stephen's hands.
That's my hands in that shot, because Toby had gone home. I think it's your hands you pick up.
That was my hand there.
That was your hand picking up the lid of the pig as well.
It was, yeah.
Fantastic hand acting there.
Thank you. You too.
Again, it's kind of that people kind of ask about the humour in the film, and kind of, you know, a lot of people have asked me, is it okay to laugh? And I said, yeah. I mean, I think as you kind of get more into the domestic scenes, and you get these kind of moments where Mum and Dad kind of say really parenty things, you know, it's just the context of it, of what's gone before, that makes it kind of funny.
Saving to buy a present for you. For both of you.
Nobody's heard of that phrase. What is this then? Scotch mist?
Yeah, I know.
My dad used to say it all the time, and nobody's
Really?
ever heard
It's
of it.
your own dadism, isn't it?
I know. I shouldn't have said that, should I? That makes it sound wrong.
You understand?
But again, I think, you know, Perry and Ainsley are great in this.
That me and your mum don't know about.
But I won't.
No buts. No excuse.
I love Mum's look.
Yeah.
We gave her this lovely hairdo, and her makeup is great as well, I think.
Yeah.
What shall we do?
I also have to say I love these earrings.
Birdie's little cherry earrings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Birdie was just supposed to dress like a little girl, even though she's not. And we talked to Claire Finlay, the costume designer, quite a lot about looks and what people would be wearing. And again, it was, you know, some of it was to do with budget, and, you know, but a lot of it was to do with the fact that, you know, the clothes they got were kind of from the airport. You know, you can see them all there. The idea was
They
that, you know,
scavenged,
they
didn't
scavenged from the airport, so everything that they've got comes from the airport. Now, this scene was actually an audition scene that we did.
Yeah, this is a really tough scene.
And Ainsley was absolutely nailed it. I mean, from the first...
I mean that's I remember the very first audition, because and she just was brilliant, and I just knew then. I thought, this is our Birdie.
Yeah. Because what was good was that she really played, I mean, it sounds weird, but she really kind of played the emotion of it, and she really played it as though she, you know...
There's a lot riding on this, you know, this is when we really get to the heart of what motivates Birdie.
Yeah.
She's a really complex character, because she might seem all chirpy and happy and playing along with Mum and Dad, and, you know, being a bit evil, really.
But also they've both...
But she's scared.
Yeah, but both of these two have been brutalised terribly, and, you know, Elby's kind of reaction to it has been to shut down, and Birdie's one has been to kind of just try and please Mum and Dad as much as possible. So now she sees that Lane has come in here and might be usurping her, that she's terrified, because she knows that the only way out of the house is, you know, wrapped up in bubble wrap. And
unless you keep on their good side, you're in really big trouble.
And Elby gets his little kind of moment here of you know, release.
Maybe it's time they got a new little brother.
You extended this scene, didn't you? Because it was going to end here.
Yeah, I did. I kind of wrote some more into it. I mean,
You think you put that fucking spastic act on?
I think I might even have written some more into it after we did the auditions, just because...
Tell you now, you've got to be a real part of this family.
We did, yeah.
The only way you'll get by. You've got to make them love you
Oh, I love this. It's great.
more than they love anything else.
More planes, and then back into the living room.
Again, a fantastic find on location.
Yeah. I love that shot of Mum's little stockinged feet. Again, it was weird, because this was one of the scenes that I wrote into the second draft, because the first draft that I wrote, because I had to write it in 4 weeks, was like 70 pages long. It wasn't long enough. And then
we set your challenge, didn't we?
Yeah.
So Stephen had to write...
Can you write 20 more pages that don't include any more characters, any more locations, any more effects?
Special effects.
Because you can't afford it.
Yeah, so you can have people sitting around talking.
Yeah.
Or doing simple things.
So this is where the foot massage scene came into, because my thinking was that I was trying to get scenes in there that would in some way kind of repulse or disgust at least part of the audience. And I know that some people have a weird thing about feet. So
other people's feet.
And other people's feet and touching other people's feet and that kind of thing. But I think we did this. I seem to remember we did this scene quite quickly, because we shot this a day after Christmas, and Christmas had been such a nightmare to shoot. It was so hard, and we were slightly behind schedule, so we had to do this quite quickly. So there's again, this is one of those scenes where there's an absolute kind of minimum amount of shots there. Even that little kind of insert of LB was kind of, we shot just as we were leaving the house on like 2 days later, just to kind of pick it up. But there's only about 5 shots in this scene, and I remember the editor seeing it and just like, worrying Leo Scott, the editor, just thinking, oh my God, we haven't got enough. But it kind of just about all kind of comes together, I think.
Well, I think that's generally true of the whole film, really. I think we've used like 95% of the material that we shot is actually in this.
Yeah, don't be looking for any deleted scenes.
Yeah, there's no deleted scenes, everyone. Sorry, because
this is our first glimpse of
something upstairs.
Big sister upstairs. And then back to the foot massage.
Perry, clean your feet.
Perry's actually got very, very lovely feet, I have to say. And that was all makeup. But again, this is one of those kind of like...
Yeah, people get really uncomfortable in this, don't
I know they do.
And you're like,
It's fucking lovely.
I think the thing is like this is the first time that Dad's kind of alone with Lena, and you know that he's this horrible pervert, essentially. And there's this kind of worry about what might happen, and she's worried, but she's trying to kind of keep on their side. And
yeah, so she's tried the this is in Lena's journey. She's tried to show Birdie up.
Yeah, and
now
she's
trying to be nice.
Yeah.
So she's really.
But this was kind of like imply that kind of Dad's still got his eye on her, but also Dad's really kind of he's a bully and he's manipulative and he's. And this whole kind of kiss the toe thing. This is actually the one shot that I wish that we'd got. I always wish that we didn't have the lens to do it. Is I really wanted a really big close up of her lips kissing that really horrible black toe, and we never got it. Just for the kind of absolute kind of disgust factor. It's interesting because I think this was one scene at one point. I can't remember, one of the execs sort of suggested dropping because it was a time when we were running kind of not over, but we were running long on the film, and somebody said, oh, maybe you should get rid of that, and I always kind of resisted it because in a way, even though it's not one that necessarily kind of propels the plot forward, I really like the feel of it, and I really feel like the quietness of it, and I think the performances are great.
Yeah, I think Perry's fantastic.
It's got a kind of nice atmosphere to it. Not nice, obviously,
but yes, for the feel of the film. I love Perry's glasses in this. He had a few, didn't he, when we tried them on? He had a few pairs of glasses that we tried, and these ones were really good because I think you get that sense of them seeing him and not seeing him, and the reflections in the glasses it really comes into the run. These are great, all these inter scenes.
Yeah.
Which we shot on the hoof at Heathrow Airport.
Well,
some of these ones you
just
shot
outside Heathrow Airport.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And again, I think originally this scene came earlier in the film.
That's right, it did.
And in the script it came earlier in the film, and then we did a bit of rejigging of the middle of the film, including that scene that we kind of made out of the offcuts of other scenes, and we kind of swapped stuff around. And
it's really interesting during the edit to do that, isn't it? Because you realise how kind of brutal you can be with stuff, and how kind of that actually what you've written. It works on paper, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then when you see things, sometimes it just needs moving around a bit.
Yeah.
It's really.
I mean, we had some kind of continuity things that we had to work around, but actually, I think that story-wise, it works much better in the film now than it did in the script.
She was talking earlier. I heard her.
I mean, obviously, that with me being the writer as well, it's kind of easier to do that and not worry about kind of annoying your writer.
You should be thinking. Do you think me and your dad get by without thinking?
This was a scene actually where originally Mum mentioned about what the fluid was, this kind of extract of mother-in-law's tongue, but we ended up cutting it out because
just became a bit long.
It just became a bit long, and also but I quite like that idea. I mean, I actually did the research that if you ingest mother-in-law's tongue, this kind of common plant, that actually paralyses your vocal cords.
Not really.
I promise not to scream.
So this is where Lena really thinks that she's kind of
Shut up, Birdie.
She's really trying to work with them.
She thinks she's working it. She thinks she's getting ahead, and she knows that she's got to kind of submit to some torture to get through it, but she's willing to kind of do that.
You know what happens if you make a fuss?
Dad.
And she's learning the rules pretty fast in this household.
We don't want that, do we?
No.
No. All right, we'll give it a go.
And you can kind of see Mum kind of
You can behave.
investing, some kind of hope in the fact that this might be a a new girl for the family. The idea that she might be a kind of an actual sister for Birdie.
See how much nicer it is when you play along, Angel. Might make all the difference. Hey, Birdie.
And how annoyed it makes Birdie.
Again, this is a really effective
Yeah.
shot, which is just so
But cheap.
simply done. Yeah, I couldn't believe
Effective and
it.
cheap,
This was
but-
one of my favourites, actually, I have to say. The simple, blunt blade and
Yeah. A little squirt of blood.
a little squirt of blood and some mortician's wax.
More planes, enough with the planes.
Love the planes.
Twin, bones all twisted and on the
And
outside.
this is, Birdie's kind of revenge scene, and again, Birdie, Ainsley's great in this with her.
She's great. I mean, this is just such a great story, though.
At least I have to look after
This is it.
Just chuck it in the bin.
Just chuck it in the bin.
Yeah, she's so callous.
She's
Again, this
awful.
I seem to remember this scene. That this was again when we were kind of rushing through to do all these scenes in the cellar. This was kind of, I think, the third one that we did, and by this time, this was like, I don't know, like day 14 or 15 on the shoot, and my head had pretty much gone. I couldn't actually think of a new way to shoot this scene, which is why we ended up with this kind of slightly weird kind of high angle shot up here, because we just had to, we had to keep moving, had to decide on something.
Yeah, there was no time to reflect.
Yeah.
And like you said before, we didn't have the luxury of having sets built and dressed.
Yeah.
And then being able to think about it and go through it with all the heads of department.
And we didn't
come
have the
back
luxury to
it.
actually walk off set and have a discussion about it. I remember
No, we just had to keep going. It was absolutely relentless.
There's me and Jonathan Bloom just looking at each other, just going, well, where do we put the camera?
Yeah, and our AD going, come on, come
Well,
on.
you got to put it somewhere.
Yeah,
which
put it
is what we
somewhere. We've
ended
got
up
to keep
doing.
moving.
Where did this come from, Angel?
We were lucky that we had good experienced AD and DOP for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was really,
Angel,
really
very disappointed.
very
I
important.
thought you would.
Yeah. And they were both pretty kind of unflappable, really. Jonathan Bloom's, despite the kind of hectic schedule, was pretty kind of laid back throughout it, wasn't
Oh,
he?
yeah, really great. Real great energy. And despite the difficulties and the low pay and the terrible catering that we had, we actually had a lot of fun making this film, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We had a good time.
We had a really great
I think we
crew.
kind of
and-
decided that because it was going to be so low paid and kind of hard work, that we'd just try and enjoy it, really.
Yeah, we had a really great crew who all got on really well and tripped over each other, and it was like being constantly in a tube train at rush hour. We were all
Absolutely.
sort of in each other's armpits. It was all very squashed on location, but everybody was really enthusiastic about it. They say horror films are the best ones to work on.
Yeah.
I've got a special job for you.
Although I have to say, if I smell that fake blood again,
Yeah, I know.
that was the bathroom in the house
Absolutely.
that we were in that Simon took over. There was splatterings of blood and bits of...
You can come with
Yeah, we had a special
Body
effects
parts.
bathroom.
Yeah, we did.
This shot was suggested by Toby, I think, who plays Elby. He said, "Oh, it'd be really good if I could just lie there and you could just, watch me looking at her."
Funny
So
that he
thanks
wrote a
for
shot
that.
for himself. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
funny that, isn't it? Yeah.
Didn't say, I think this would be a really great shot. Oh, no, this is where production fell apart, really, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
because when there was two things that happened. Olga got ill on about day 4, and then we lost the original bathroom location that we'd had. And this whole scene was originally supposed to be about laying and washing things in the bath. And then this bathroom that we had to use didn't have a bath, so we had to put a washing machine in there.
I think, which was my suggestion.
Your suggestion, very good
Okay.
suggestion, it was too.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare because we'd already filmed the point of view shot that's coming up later of her looking out of the window. We'd already filmed that, and we'd already filmed that with and you could see clearly what type of window it was that she's looking through.
So 6 o'clock.
And this bathroom didn't have that kind of window; it had a sash window. So basically, the reason why all of this is pretty much shot from the side is because if you shot it from the front, you'd notice that this is a completely
different bathroom.
completely different bathroom. That's a fake window. That behind that is the actual window.
And this is another location. Yeah, at 6 o'clock we lost this bathroom. This point of view shot was taken from was in a house that was being sold, and because our schedule changed, the house got sold, and the new owners decided they didn't want to have us in. So we then had to do a bit of rejigging, and at 6 o'clock at night, we said to our construction manager, "Can you build us in a new window, please.
Which he did.
Which he did. And he said, when is this for? And we said, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Well, he said, I can't do it for them, but I can do it for 12.
Yeah.
So,
which is what we went with.
Which is what we went with.
There's another scene that's kind of added later, the kind of the
teeth
bit, because again, I knew that was a cheap effect, and it's also something that people find disgusting. Well, putting somebody else's teeth in your mouth obviously is disgusting, but it's Mark Devonport, a friend of mine, an actor and friend of mine, who's also a filmmaker in Nottingham.
Something wrong?
He was the first person who actually suggested Perry Benson for the role of Dad, so this was a kind of thank you to him to put him in this role.
Oh yes, the poxy.
To have him brutally killed.
Yeah, Van Man again.
Van
a character
Man again,
without a name.
Again, no names in the script. Van Man, that's what he is.
Shall we do this later? No, you're right.
But again, this stuff outside with Perry and him was shot like about a week before we shot all the interior stuff. So it was it all had to kind of match up really. And again, this was yet another house.
Yeah.
Because we needed somewhere that had a kind of
driveway.
A driveway.
Because we never actually see the exterior of Mum and Dad's house, do we?
No, not properly. I mean, you kind of see it a bit in the garden, but we never see a kind of a proper exterior.
And that's because we knew that we were never going to find one place that logistically would all fit together.
Absolutely.
So all these glimpses of the house could all be one place.
This whole scene with the suitcase again was me thinking about how to do something that was horrible with no money. So yeah.
Yeah, this is the one and
also
that people find particularly horrifying.
Yeah, but also it's another thing where I thought, what would they have lying around? Well, the suitcases. They're always nicking stuff from the airport, and they'll have loads of them around. But yeah, obviously, remarkably cheap effect. Actress goes in the suitcase.
Really effective.
And we had to find a suitcase that she could actually fit in because she actually gets zipped into it.
Yeah.
And then suitcase filmed with non-actress. This always makes people laugh. Not that one, the big one.
Yeah. This was a quite good work for the sound guys, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To really sell this, of course, is.
And there's this whole kind of quite horrible. And this is quite an important scene for Elby as well, because Dad just wants Elby to be like him, the way that Birdie's like Mum. He wants Elby to be like him, but he's always disappointed that he hasn't kind of got the gumption for it.
Yeah, it's like one of those dads that wants their kid to be the
good
football
at
star, and he's not. He just wants to read books.
But when Elby actually gets into it here, he kind of he smiles on like a kind of parent happy that his son scored a goal.
This is it. I love this, dads. Come on, then. Come on, my boy.
This is where Mark gets killed.
Oh, and this is another shot. That injection shot we had to do as a bit of an extra, didn't we? Because Leo had cut something and said, this is not quite working.
Yeah. But I really wanted this idea of somebody getting suffocated by bubble wrap, and Mark sucked in the bubble wrap into his mouth.
He was very professional about that. Of course, there was health and safety at all times.
Yeah, I really like that kind of popping noise. But the idea was that anybody who comes into the house, that's it. There's only one way out of the house, and that's
in bits.
In bits, yeah. And then you come into this scene, which is a kind of weird kind of POV shot, the unzipping of the suitcase. But I really like this scene because everybody's in it, and it is this kind of weird mix of kind of horror and really, really black humour. Dad's "Look what you made me do."
Look what you made me do.
Yeah, it's a real dadism, that,
really
isn't
dadism, yeah. And then there's Mark who actually moaned quite a lot about being stuck in that
he
desk.
did, yes.
God bless him. But
it's really effective, though.
I mean, again, it's
hats off to the effects guys.
Absolutely, and to Jess actually for
coming up with and making all these actionable props.
When he don't come home tonight.
You said he didn't see his kids. You said Karen had got an injunction.
Great line, this.
Interfere when I'm disciplining the kids, all right?
Yeah, dodgy eye line, but great line.
Yeah, nice spitting as well from Perry.
Yeah, Perry does quite a lot of spitting in this scene, which I quite like, but can't have been that pleasant for Olga because I think she gets sprayed with most of it.
Did you think you'd get his attention? Think he might take?
There you go, a nice little spray of spit in the face there, which is good because it's
makes it real.
It makes it real, but also Dad's so horrible, and so he doesn't care.
Yeah.
This whole speech was about his absolute kind of weird mindset. The fact that she's flirting with this passing stranger by essentially throwing a human tooth out of a window. That's what Dad classes as flirting. Yeah. and then we get the whole kissing the head scene.
This was written differently, wasn't it? We did have at one point this head being thrown across the room,
Yeah,
but that's when we had a realisation that
it would be ridiculously expensive to do unless we actually killed Mark.
Which, well, by the end of this,
Yeah.
Tell you what, you've had it easy up till now.
yeah, that's when we had to make a choice about effects that.
Yeah, but I think it
That you
works. I
could
think it
do.
works fine like that. I think it was better, in fact.
Yeah, because it was, well, we either had to either spend a huge amount of money on it to make it look really great, or we would have ended up with an effect that
It just looked cheap.
just looked cheap. So
Again, this is quite an
It's very
interesting scene to edit and to kind of put together. And I like this kind of where we end up with this, with her kind of out of focus and flaring out on the floor. This shot, it's kind of just a kind of. It's kind of the kind of look of the film gets slightly kind of rougher as it goes on. We get a bit more handheld with some of the scenes, and it gets.
sort of disintegrating, really,
Yeah.
isn't it?
All full of brand new jeans. From the outside, it all looks normal till you look at the bottom of it.
Again, this is. I think we shot this quite early on, didn't we?
So Joey,
I like this shot
I
of,
love that shot.
of her with the kind of the chicken half consumed in front of her, and her all kind of beaten up and just thinking. She's like back to square one now. Even worse than back to square one. She can't even she can't even like move about in the kitchen now when they're there, and you can see how Mum's kind of losing faith with her that she's ever going to be any good for the family.
Again, this was quite difficult from a production point of view, just because these were one of the scenes that we shot on the very first day, so it meant that for costume and for hair and makeup, it was we were setting the looks very early on in terms of the bruising and cuts and
Absolutely, all that kind of continuity stuff. I mean,
it was just a nightmare.
It was a nightmare, but we and also sometimes there were some days where we would be shooting like five script days in a day, so there's like there's 4 costume changes and makeup changes and effects changes, and
it's difficult when you've got blood, because for costume it's washing and ironing and sorting
Absolutely.
and doing and bloodying and re-bloodying and having to turn around Lena being really nice and fine day one in half an hour, we're then doing another scene where she's like
Absolutely.
this.
But then, I mean, we also kind of made decisions, like, for example, in the early scene in the room, you see that Lena's arms are all cut up. But because I knew that if we did that, and she'd be, if she had to have scars put onto her arms every morning,
It was going to take a long time.
It was going to take a long time. It was going to add like an extra half an hour to make up in the morning. So I had to talk with Claire Finlay, the costume designer, and we decided to put her in these kind of little cardigans over the nightie all the time, which nobody ever kind of questions or thinks about, but it's essentially a kind of practical decision to make sure that we didn't have to make up her arms every morning.
Now, every time I watch this, I can smell that fridge. Because
Yeah.
obviously we were in a location where, in fact, that fridge wasn't working, and we
Yeah.
had this horrible old meat in there, and it just stank.
It did
Every
stink,
time she
yeah.
opened it, it was really whiffy.
No, I don't. This is. I mean, again, we kind of cut stuff out of this scene. So the kind of what's happening here with the frozen gut sausages is kind of a little more oblique than was originally written, and some people get it, some people don't. It's kind of, in the end, we can kind of sacrifice the clarity of that for the sake of story, because it was much more important to kind of have.
Well, it's this relationship, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
Mum being very keen to
To
keep Lena on side, and to
But also to kind of warn her that this is her last chance.
Yeah.
And for Lena to know that this is it. Do you know what I mean? If she doesn't make it out of here soon, then that's it. She's going to
it's
get.
your final warning, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's that those cliche of things that your parents
Yeah.
say. This is your last warning.
Yeah.
I love Lena in this as well, though.
She's great,
She's
yeah.
just so defiant
I mean,
throughout.
that was one of the things about kind of casting Olga, really, was just that I wanted somebody who wasn't kind of just going to be a victim, even though she's kind of brutalised and
just not,
tortured.
is she? She's
I wanted
great.
somebody who had that kind of defiance, so that by the end of the film you could kind of believe her when she actually kind of gets to escape.
Yeah, she just refuses to give in.
Yeah. Now, this whole scene was supposed to be what actually happens to the frozen gut sausages that are being taken upstairs, which is that they end up being used in Mum and Dad's weird kind of sex games. So rather than being consumed, they're kind of
Used.
yes, by Dad in a particularly unpleasant way, which always slightly kind of made me laugh, because I knew that in the script it was supposed to be Mark Davenport's insides, and for some reason that made it even more humorous.
Again, we're seeing Lena, who she just refuses to ever give in.
Yeah. Like, this was another one of those scenes where I think there's only about 3 shots that we actually had to put this whole thing together, and then
is this when we had 20 minutes to shoot 3
it was something
scenes?
stupid, yeah.
At one point in this room, and because we shot all the things that were in this room together, there came a point where we had 20 minutes to do 3 scenes, and Stephen and Jonathan had us got a quick confab, and worked out how to shoot 3 scenes in 3 shots.
Yeah.
Which meant that I just had to buy everybody a pizza.
Yeah.
And send them home 10 minutes late.
I mean, actually, to be fair, I think we only went over on 2 days, didn't we? I think
we did. Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal.
So yeah, I mean, mostly we were working like 12-hour days, and I think a couple of days one day we did a half-hour extra, and another day we did
an hour or so. Or I think we'd planned to do more. It was when we were in the cellar, and we thought we might have to do 2 or 3 hours, but in fact, we managed to crack on. I think it was only about an hour late.
And this tool room, I mean, this is, basically Jonathan Bloom in here with Lena doing this, following her around. It was actually, I mean,
is it handheld then?
It's a handheld, yeah. It's a really good set, this, but it was and it was nicer to film in than it was in Lena's room, bizarrely. But it was a bit of a nightmare, especially for sound, because you've got all of these things hanging down, so it's actually impossible to get a boom in anywhere. So the boom operator was like just cursing me the whole time. And also, you can see all of these tools hanging down that have got all like pointy bits on them.
It was actually quite dangerous.
It's quite dangerous to be walking around.
Yeah, my risk assessments, I had to write all these things about, please be aware of the daggers and machetes.
Be aware that there's a pointy crowbar at eye level in the darkness. Yeah, so we're lucky nobody lost an eye, really.
Yeah, my first aid skills would have really been called into action then.
But it just meant that, you might end up with 12 people in that room, all having to be really careful not to bump into anything.
I think this whole sequence is really interesting. Now, this is another one of the sort of logistics nightmares, because obviously we weren't shooting in.
This wasn't a set. This was an actual house. We had to,
There were different floors, and
this was actually the top floor instead of the second floor, and vice versa. And we had to basically really, really plan it out so that it looked as though she was going where she was going, because the house actually doesn't look anything like that. Well, the house did have, which we were kind of lucky with, did have these weird kind of slightly kind of suede walls, which seemed to be made out of something like pony skin.
Yes, which obviously weren't, of course.
Well, obviously weren't, but had that kind of look and texture to them.
Yeah.
It's funny with Mum and Dad's room. It's kind of, you might expect it to be really grisly, but in fact, it's probably the most normal room in the house, just because Mum and Dad like to kind of compartmentalise their gruesomeness. We see them bringing in a Christmas tree man wrapped up, dolls, a wig. That was there was actually something more gruesome supposed to happen with that wig, but we just never got the time to do it. I wanted one of these pictures on the wall, because it's one of the ones that I kind of remember from being a kid. Not specifically that one, but those kind of paintings.
Style of paintings.
And then you see a little angel on the door, which is supposed to kind of give you the idea that this is the previous angel of the house.
There she is.
Yeah, I always kind of like this idea of this web, this web of wires going across the room. Again, makes it a nightmare when you're trying to move a crew around the room to have a load of metal wire strung across it, but it looks effective.
This was one of the scenes that got added in, didn't it, after the first draft?
It did, yeah. This came into the second draft, yeah.
Because again, it was another element of horror as well, wasn't it? Which I have to say I really like. When I watch the film now, because I know that it's coming up, still sort of takes me by surprise. I was thinking, oh my God, there's still Big Sister to come as well. Yeah. Because it comes in quite late in the film. And
Big Sister's had, horrible things happen to her, and it is actually quite horrible, all of this. And the actress who plays her, Micaiah Dring, did it. She was cast quite late, but she's actually a friend of mine who I'd worked with on a short film called Cry. And she's great, but I mean, in 2 films now, in the first film I covered her in blood, and in this I kind of do this to her. It's
covered in scabs and scars.
Covered in scabs and scars, and
you can see the attraction of working with you, Stephen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially for young actresses, you know. It's great. You can make them look really glamorous.
And then Christmas Tree Man.
There's Chris.
Chris Roebuck plays Christmas Tree Man, which is kind of, again, it's kind of weird process of casting, because you've seen the Christmas tree scene that he ends up kind of nailed to the wall wearing this, in this kind of prosthetic torso. Essentially, we had the torso. We had the torso, and they had
before
to
we had the man.
I had to cast an actor to fit it, so I had to kind of meet these actors and sort of have a look at their bodies.
Yeah, see where they would fit. Because normally, obviously, you would you'd cast an actor and then you would make a mould of their body, but we couldn't afford to do that. So, fortunately, Simon Craze happened to have
a kind of legless torso hanging around that we could use. So yeah. But it's also because, Chris is one of the actors from the Carlton Junior Workshop, which is in Nottingham, and I've worked with people from there before, and they're always great, and they're always kind of really well kind of trained. Again, this is another kind of long shot holding on Lena, and it's and Olga again is great in this, and it's really good to know that you can stay on a shot, you can stay on an actor, and they'll kind of carry it. Yeah.
This was one of the shots I thought was really important, because I think, again, this is just saying so much about Lena, because she's a survivor and she wants.
But even now, she's kind of giving into despair. She's just thinking, God, there's no way out of it, and she's just had to basically leave somebody to die.
Yeah.
And then we get this little kind of vignette of.
Did you not shoot this on the way home one night?
I think I did. Yeah. I think I shot some of it. Yeah. This little vignette of Elby leaving her the sandwiches, because it's quite a kind of subtle thing really in the film that's not kind of necessarily overflowing with subtlety, but this idea of this kind of relationship or this kind of that Lena being in the house has kind of actually kind of awoken something in Elby.
Yeah, he's decided. He's obviously seen years of these people come in,
because up to this point
and go out in body parts.
Yeah, up to this point he'd kind of pretty much given up, and now he's kind of.
He sees her fighting, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sees her fighting, and he starts to kind of have some kind of relationship with her.
Or think that perhaps there's a way out. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Finally, it's Christmas.
Not Christmas.
Yeah.
And you see Elby tightening the kind of thing on her again. And then Birdie's little kind of a noddy holder impression.
Now, this was when I had a bit of a heart attack, didn't I, during the first edit? 'Cause Steven said he didn't want any music on it. And of course, when him and Leo had been cutting away, and there was Slade on this to start with, wasn't there?
There was Slade on there to start with, but we knew we wouldn't ever use that, but we got Alistair Reid, who did us a couple of great kind of Christmas songs, including this one. Now, at this point in the film, I just wanted it to be like
mad,
just crazed to this kind of idea that it's Christmas is already quite kind of in most kind of British households is already quite heightened and garish and kind of full on, and I just wanted that idea kind of just really, really ramped up. So this is a really kind of perverse Christmas, and it's where you get the horror and the domesticity really, really kind of coming, bleeding into each other massively now. And but I think we got this. We got that, and that emotion came through because this took quite a bit of time to set up, because obviously we'd been filming in this location. This was where we'd done like the foot massage and things like that, and then in a few hours, Jess and her team had to literally turn this round, and we had to get Christmas Tree Man up on his wall, and we had to get this place dressed. I think
it took us a long time to dress, didn't it? So we were all quite nervous pacing around because we knew we had a huge amount to shoot.
Yeah, we didn't turn over till 12 o'clock that day, and we had to shoot this whole Christmas scene in one day. So it was just it was really hard going. But
I think that adds to this craziness of it all.
Yeah, it made me feel mad. You've got Christmas Tree Guy. There was a little gag that myself and Claire Finley, costume designer, put in there where, because we knew he was going to end up as a tree, we put him in a green top and brown trousers.
Mum and Dad's really nice appropriate Christmas presents for their children.
Bit of porn,
and some blades for Birdie.
And this again, I love Perry and Olga in this bit.
They went for it, didn't they?
They did go for it. They really kind of got into it.
All this spitting and stuff is I think there was some tension being released at this point. A bit real. But again, weirdly, this was one of the audition scenes that we put in there, and we found it was quite hard in a way to kind of cast people for Dad, because we had loads of people turn down the part.
like on basically reading it, just because they just didn't want to be associated with doing any the stuff that Dad does. So I ended up using this as a kind of audition piece because it's so horrible, it's so foul. It was almost like a test to see whether people would be
How far they go for it.
Yeah, whether they kind of be up for it or not, because it's it's a horrible kind of speech that kind of implies quite a lot of terrible stuff has gone on with Big Sister.
Although anyway as well, it's a sort of going back to the whole Dad getting drunk at Christmas and
Absolutely, getting all sentimental.
Yeah. So it's that real messed up family.
Absolutely,
which is the theme that's been running throughout the film.
She's still my flesh and blood.
Yeah.
Whereas you,
I love the shot, and I love the
you're not even human.
the look of both of them.
You're just a pet.
And Dad's terrible gag.
Yeah. Well, it's yet another dadism, isn't it?
It's a Dad gag. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's also this kind of idea that come Christmas, she knows that this is it now. She's getting so close to being kind of killed now, and Dad knows it as well. And Dad's getting drunk on sherry, and he knows kind of, he can sense something's kind of coming, that this is going to happen. And this is the only bit of kind of tension that you ever see really between Mum and Dad, which is about Big Sister, and it kind of resolved itself quite quickly, because I always wanted Mum and Dad to be a kind of a united front. That's the only way they can kind of work, really, is if they kind of have a kind of solid idea of who they are and what they're doing.
She's family. It's Christmas.
Yeah, and that's why it's always Mum and Dad. It's not just Mum and just Dad. It's always Mum and Dad, Mum and Dad, Mum and Dad.
Yeah, it's the two of them together.
Right.
The act always.
And we keep coming back to this kind of shot of Lena just watching this, and just by this time she's thought that this house was insane and these people were like maniacs, and now it's just like stupidly kind of over the top now. It's just ridiculously crazed.
To stick together. You know that.
I guess it's quite funny for Olga to do this, because she's obviously she's Ukrainian originally, and so I guess she is really looking at this from a foreigner's point of view.
Absolutely, yeah.
Completely bonkers.
Absolutely.
Worth a few quid though.
I didn't get you anything, I've been so busy.
And this is the bit where Dad gets his present, which is essentially being told that he can have Lena.
Dad's of course got his Christmas tie on.
Dad's got his lovely Christmas tie on,
We had fun.
Originally had played a tune, I think, and we had to take the battery out so that it wouldn't just, probably because we couldn't afford to pay the license for the tune that it was playing.
Something like that. Again, I love this from a production point of view, that we just sort of found everything, these sofas and
that was pretty much
the whole room in this house was just how we found it, and then Jess added bits to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And lots of the things that Jess got were from car boot sales and pound shops.
Yeah.
This was really sort of,
I mean,
I call it
again,
Blue Peter Productions, because we just sort of made things out of old toilet rolls.
Again, Jess did a fantastic job, because I think we pretty much cut her budget in half, a couple of weeks before the shoot.
I think she put in an optimistic budget to me, and I said, I think more like 50% of that.
Come on.
So here you can see Mum and Dad back together again.
Christmas kiss.
Yeah. And now, Birdie knows it's coming. Birdie knows that this is going to be the end of her.
Although she's now trying to take on a sort of mum role, isn't she?
Yeah.
I'm going to make the most of today, because I don't think you're going to be around much longer.
It's funny because people really, really hate Birdie in this film. Not hate the performance, but really kind of like want her to get what's coming to her. And I don't know, she in a way was as much of a victim as Lena is, which is, but she was written as this kind of nightmare little sister who could be sweetness and light one minute and then an absolute nightmare the next.
You can finish her off. I'm going to get some more presents.
And this is the moment where, basically Elby makes his decision that he's
not going to let it happen.
Yeah.
Things have got to change.
So it's not, in a way it's not a big kind of thing, it's not a big moment, but as Lena notices in a minute, It actually kind of helped her out. But again, this, all this. Oh, I remember there's a massive rush to get this scene done, and we did it all handheld. But this was. Do you remember that this was really late at night, and we had to do all.
Well,
this
is when we had to do so
Yeah.
many scenes in such a short space of time.
Exactly, and it was and we were it was the last bit of doing stuff in that room, and it was horrible.
It was very sweaty and
I had too
smelly.
much coffee. A runner kept coming up to me. I think it was Russ, and kept saying, "Do you want coffee?" And I kept saying yes.
Yes.
And so
Buzzing
by
by the
about
end
9
of
o'clock
it.
at night, I was just mental with coffee.
I think it's because you were trying to keep up with Jonathan,
I
who
was,
does
yeah.
drink a lot of black
I know,
coffee.
that was a mistake.
Yeah,
I won't do that again.
he is a serial coffee drinker.
Yeah, and now we get Dad's entrance, and the idea of Dad wearing the dress was that basically that this was the way that they work it. I always thought with Mum and Dad that they have these kind of archetypes in their head of what a mum is, what a dad is, and that's kind of fixed. There's a
Perry's bum.
again for the second time in the
yeah.
film. The
Perry
way
did not
that
have a double here, I'd like everybody to
he
know.
didn't, yeah.
Perry did his own bottom stunts.
He also didn't have a modesty patch on it.
No.
Just the idea that it was, that he would take over the role of mum. That would be the way that he would get to Lena. That they had this kind of fluidity to their kind of identities in a way. Yeah, all this stuff was stuff that we had to shoot really, really quickly, and poor Perry had to get kind of stabbed with this, fake chisel, but
it's still quite hard. I mean,
it's
she's
still
really
quite
got to
hard.
whack
Yeah,
him.
she's really got to whack him, and it's it's quite brutal to do that.
Yeah, the actors were really good. They
were.
They did all
Yeah.
of their own stunts and everything. So
Although I think Perry said he'd do it twice, but I don't think he wanted to go a third time. That'd be kind of
that's going to be bruised and battered enough.
Exactly. And we had to kind of re-choreograph this whole sequence, I remember, because we'd shot the stuff upstairs earlier and had Lena coming out. Originally in the script she came out with a knife, but now she has a chisel. But we'd already shot the stuff in the kitchen where she has a knife, so we had to kind of so we had to organise that in this scene they have a fight, she loses the chisel. And then
grabs a knife.
And we didn't have a stunt coordinator or anybody like that, or a fight coordinator, so it's basically just sort of trying to work it out. This is a moment that usually gets a kind of cheer because people like the fact that Birdie's gets what's coming to her.
Yeah. This is when I love the soundtrack on this now as well.
Yeah, the kind of twangy Eddie style kind of. God rest you,
this is a
gentlemen.
great shot. What a fantastic effect.
Yeah, the kind of
really simple and just really effective.
Again, another weird kind of half homage to EastEnders, I think, where somebody got brutally killed by an iron.
Also, as well, I mean, these were all that. This was the first couple of days of the shoot.
It was,
this was his kitchen.
I did feel really self-conscious about sitting there watching on the monitor two young women sort of grappling on a kitchen floor. It did seem a bit wrong to have organised all that.
And then the magic of cinema. She jumps over the fence. She's in Nottingham,
and then she lands in Heathrow
Airport. Way there we are.
And we waited ages to try and get a plane in shot, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I think we just about got one. Yeah, there's one.
It was tough. You think it'd be really easy, what with a plane going over every 45 seconds or something.
But trying to time that was ridiculous. Yeah.
This was when we were also, of course, now in this field trying to avoid the wild horses.
Yeah, there's loads of wild horses just out of shot.
I think they were eating our lunch at that point.
Yeah, this was quite a hard day because we had the Steadicam. We used a bit of Steadicam there, and also it was boiling hot, and there was like loads of horses, and there was
planes going over every 45 seconds.
Loads of horse dung everywhere that everybody was kind of breaking their ankles on, and it was hard going.
Your mum and dad came down.
My mum and dad
that
actually,
day, didn't they?
they actually were on set that day, which was
weird.
Yeah, try explaining what's going on.
We also had quite a few set visits from journalists, didn't we? Because it was the only day that we shot in London, and it was our last shoot day. We had a huge amount of stuff to get through, a lot of effects, a lot of really emotional stuff, and everybody decided to turn up.
Again, I think this is quite cathartic because this was the last day of the shoot, and quite cathartic for Olga to finally really, get to instead of being kind of brutalised and thrown on the floor and tortured, she actually gets to
be brutal.
Yeah, stab people to death.
And this was she did this effect on an old sofa, didn't she?
Yeah, she was actually stabbing a sofa.
She was really pummeling it.
That we found in the field, yeah. And then Albie gets walks out
to a new life, or maybe not.
And then we ended up with this sort of bit at the end, which looks like I'm totally ripping off Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was actually quite accidental, because we'd taken so long to shoot this stuff that the sun, instead of being massively overhead, was now behind her, so we ended up with this kind of Texas Chainsaw style shot.
But that's what happens in low budget filmmaking, isn't it? You
but
just gotta go where you go.
That shot of the plane going overhead was always supposed to be the final shot, final shot of the film. That kind of release of like the plane actually mixing with the scream was supposed to be the final shot of the film.
Tension.
And then we have this track, 900 Miles, which is an old kind of American folk song that we got.
You'd always had that in your mind, hadn't you? I remember from the very beginning you said,
I really want this.
Yeah, this is the song I want for the end.
I don't know why. I think it's just we got it re-recorded by
called Gemma
Ray, who did a fantastic version, and I just really wanted that kind of idea about being far away from home, because the film's all about being trapped at home, and the fact that Lane is kind of far from home. Yeah. All this stuff we actually shot on the same day that we did Christmas, and it's actually shot by
Birdie.
By Ainsley Howard, who plays Birdie, and we just basically.
We should probably given her credit for that.
We should have given her a credit. I know.
Additional photography. Ainsley Howard, I'm giving it to you now, Ainsley.
But essentially, I just locked her in the room with the actors. It was just before we broke for lunch on that day, and just said, "Look, just film some stuff." With the idea that that we'd use it kind of in this way, but I think we kind of forgot about it until one of the execs in the edit said, it'd be really nice if we had something really kind of really kind of clever for the end. I don't know how clever it is, but it's quite, I think again texturally it's quite nice, and it's kind of this kind of home movie kind of look, but I kind of like this last kind of visit.
And we messed it all up, didn't we, in the post-production, so this sort of really grainy.
Well actually no, when we digitized it all kind of came in like this, so because it came off this tiny little kind of camcorder. But sound design, I have to say that those guys, Ben and Tom, did a fantastic job on the sound design.
Fantastic,
there's not barely any music in the film, and
which is really unusual for a horror film, because lots of horror
sound
films are
design
scored.
has to do a lot of work, so
help Ian his husky eyes.
And then I really ending up on this shot of Lena, and just the look she does to the camera, because even though ostensibly you might view it as a kind of happy ending and that she escapes, I think the idea is that she's been through so much and been so kind of brutalized by the family that she's never really going to
be the same
again.
Happy ending then?
Yeah, not really.
And there we are, all our fantastic cast and our crew.
So it was like I said, we shot over 18 days. I think we edited over
17 days, because Olga was ill for a day, so. And
then we edited over 2 months, something like that. So it's it's quite a quick turnaround, but it's good. One of the reasons why we wanted to do the scheme in the first place was because even though the money was so low, we knew that Film London were happy for us to kind of go into production quite quickly, and that we could actually turn it around quite soon and end up with a feature film, which is what we both wanted. We just kind of rather than kind of
spend a lot of time in development.
Spend a lot of time in development and kind of have the potential to make a feature film. We wanted to end up with one, and for all the kind of stress and kind of hard work and kind of penny pinching really that we had to do. I'm really happy with the end result.
There's Bishop Scott. That's Leo's dog, actually.
Who's that?
He gets Bishop.
Oh,
he gets the credit.
Does he?
Yeah, because Leo coordinated all the music, but he didn't really want credit for it.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
that's Bishop.
Okay.
The dog.
I'm sure there's probably people that we've not left off that thanks list.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, everyone else.
Thank you, everybody else.
Yeah, that we forgot.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. You are. The end.
The end. So, thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.